It's Friday late night. It's Mark Pires.
I was walking down the road today, looking for another way
to ease my mind and help my living. It's Real Talk. It's the daily variety show, Mark Pires Real Talk. I'm here to connect with you, to amplify your current state, and I'm here with you on day 558 in a row with a very special episode of Real Talk. This is going to be the Hypocrisy episode, where we're going to drop all 10 episodes of the Donald Trump show back to back. In between, I'll have a little bit of a dialogue here, share what I was going through, the thought process when I created these things, and we're going to roll through them. This will be an episode that people will be able to see all 10 in a row. Here we go. Episode 1. Hammerlin Jamison introducing episode 1 of the Donald J. Trump Show.
Look, I want to thank you for joining me on a brand new episode of the Donald Trump Show. That's right. We're going to be here every week delivering truth about the Biden campaign because no one's telling you what's really going on. I'm going to pull back the curtain and you're going to see what Joe Biden is really up to. Here we go.
We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts.
Will somebody please alert Mr. Biden that truth and facts are the same thing? I think he's been watching too much fake news on CNN. Okay, what else do we have from this blubbering train wreck?
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Look me over. If you like what you see, help out. If not, vote for the other Biden. Give me a look, though, okay?
Now, first of all, who's the other Biden? Who is the other Biden? I'm wondering, because if it's Hunter Biden, he'll be in jail. But if there's another Biden, perhaps he can actually complete a sentence. That Biden I'd like to hear from. Okay, let's see what else we've got.
Trust.
Like his strange hold on Defense Secretary Ash Carter's wife, Stephanie.
Sleep Sofa Joe has been doing this for years. He's a creeper. And we're going to put a stop to him.
I like the way your hair smells. Let me give you a little kiss here.
And can you believe? Look at how he's touching that little girl. Honestly, I'm a little worried about that little girl. Sleep Sofa Joe has been doing all kinds of racist things for years. I'm just going to show you a few of the clips. Take a look at this one, for example.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
Look, I'm surprised you guys are fine with hearing Joe Biden say you need an Indian accent in order to go to Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, I've been to Dunkin' Donuts many times. I don't have an Indian accent. But let's continue on. I have a lot more to play for you. Now check out this clip, for example.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Racist Joe strikes again. Poor kids are just as talented and bright as white kids? What does that even mean? This is getting good, guys. What's next?
Play the radio. Make sure make sure you have the record player on at night.
Really, Joe? That's a good idea. We'll get the record player out. How about we go and actually light a fire and we do smoke signals? How about that? What do we have next from Sleep Sofa Joe?
Think about it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created you know the thing.
The question is, do you know the thing, Joe? Do you know the thing, Sleep Sofa Joe? The thing, Joe, is that we are all created equal. That's right, God is the creator of all, not Satan and your adrenochrome. Okay, let's get one more at least. How about one more?
I'm not going to be a mule. I got something to do. I got to go do boom, boom, boom.
Did Sleep Sofa Joe just say he has to go do a poop-a-doop? I think he said it right in front of his crowd. I would never say that right in front of my crowd. If I'm going to take a poop-a-doop, I'm doing it on my own time, not in front of people. I don't know. It's a little weird there. Look, let's give him a chance to redeem himself. One more, okay?
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Wow. Really? Look, I'm not sure what else to say after watching that ridiculousness. But that's Sleep Sofa Joe. Are you going to vote for that guy? How about you? Look, if that's the case, this world's crazy.
So that's episode 1 of The Trump Show, and we've done 10. So that got me thinking, okay, we're kind of shining a light on the kind of silliness that happens and is really not getting that much press. You saw those clips, like, what? So I went a little nuts on the Biden, and we did a second episode. Here we go.
It's Hammerlin Jamison introducing Donald Trump for episode 2 of The Trump Show. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining me on episode 2 of The Donald Trump Show. We're going to continue digging deeper into Joe Biden, his mental state, and whether or not he falls asleep on camera. So let's get into it. Here's a couple of clips from earlier today. We're going to get into it now. Here we go.
I'm campaigning from home about Biden hiding in his cellar. Well, the truth of the matter is over 200 million people have watched me on television, and they've watched, and the more of that,
No, keep going, Joe. You're doing great. Doing fantastic, yes. No, we're really thrilled. I'm sure 200 million people really enjoyed watching the Sleep Sofa. Look, I could take a nap on my own sleep sofa. I don't need to watch you while I do it, unless they were trying to fall asleep quicker. Maybe instead of reading, they said, well, if I watch Biden, I could fall right to sleep. Okay, let's see what's next.
I've been down to Virginia. I've been around the country, but I do it responsibly, and I don't hold rallies because it is the reason why we're in such trouble by not listening to the experts and the scientists about social distancing and wearing masks, which I never do when I walk outside of this house.
Wait, let me get this straight. So the scientists and doctors tell us to wear masks, but the moment you leave the house, you don't wear your mask? Sleep Sofa, I'm pulling a little fake news on you right now. Just check the real footage.
And wearing masks, which I never do when I walk outside of this house. I never fail to do.
See? And Trump will play it for you because I think you still look like an idiot. Okay, what else we got?
That's who we are. That's how my great-great-grandfather, four greats back got here. He got in a coffin ship on the Irish Sea, never knowing whether he was going to make it. And he made it to the United States of America in 1848 when the British were, anyway.
The British were coming. Look, it's like Paul Revere. No, finish it up, Joe. What were you saying? When the British were coming? Is that your grandfather was part of the crew? Is your grandfather a redcoat? What are we talking about here? I'm trying to figure out what the hell Joe is talking about. My grandfather, and when the British, he said, and then he stopped himself. I think he was about to say when the British were coming. Anyway, look, as long as Joe continues to stay in his basement and he won't debate me, I'm going to have the Trump Show continue. So till tomorrow, have a good night.
So now all of a sudden I'm really excited. I got 2 episodes under my belt, and I'm like, you know what? Let's give Biden a break, at least for a night. And we decided to go after somebody else, somebody I like to call Pelosi.
It's Hammerlin Jamison, Donald J. Trump back with episode 3 of The Trump Show. I want to thank you for joining me on episode 3 of The Donald J. Trump Show. Today, we talk about Pelosi. That's right, don't drink the poison. It's going to kill many people more than coronavirus. Yeah, Pelosi, that's right. Nancy Pelosi, yeah, I'm sorry, some people don't know that we do call her Pelosi. Let's take a look at this clip here. I want you to hear what she has to say.
You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear.
Let's be honest, Nancy, you know nothing about politics. And wrap-up smear? Really? That's what you've been doing to me? Sounds like something you got from your OBGYN. But whatever.
You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it.
I'm sorry, Nancy, can you say that one more time? What was that?
You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it.
Look, she's creating fake news. She told the reporters, you create a story. Let's get back to this clip.
And then you write it.
Can you freaking believe this?
Unless they see it's reported in the press that this, and this, so they have that validation that the press reported the smear.
You write the story after we report the falsehoods, and it becomes a validated story by the news, by you, the fake news garbage.
It's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report.
Also, when she says merchandising it, who is she, Mel Brooks from Spaceballs? Spaceballs the flamethrower. Yeah, okay, Pelosi, whatever.
Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic. And it's self-evident.
You see there, she says it's self-evident because we've been doing it to Trump since he came down the escalator. Well, I have to tell you that I'm happy that I found out about this, Pelosi. Now I could put all of my efforts towards taking you down to Chinatown. That's right. We will drain Pelosi and Schumer from the swamp.
So now 3 episodes in, we start kicking past Pelosi, and I just got more of Biden. There's so much to do with Sleep Sofa Joe. We got to get back into Sleep Sofa Joe. I mean, right? That's the next episode along the line here.
It's Hammerlin Jamison back with episode 4 of the Donald Trump Show.
Thank you very much for joining me for episode 4 of the Donald Trump Show. Tonight, we get back into Sleep Sofa Joe. Look, we've got a lot of clips to get through, so let's get started.
I'm coming directly to you for ask a quick favor.
I can't believe they use this as their pitch on YouTube. I mean, I've come for you to... It sounds like something out of Close Encounters of a Third Kind. Sleep Sofa, are you from a different planet? I'm trying to figure out what the hell it is that comes out of your mouth. Sounds like gobbledygook.
I can hardly wait to debate him on stage. I want people to see me standing next to him and him standing next to me. We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you. Thanks for your time. Please come back in less than 13 years, sir.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris, but anyway.
Chris. I just did Chris. No, I just did Chuck. I tell you what, man, these are back-to-back. Anyway.
Sleepy, hello? It's not Chuck, okay? But you have a problem with back-to-back meetings? How do you think you're going to do back-to-back-to-back-to-back-to-back when you're president? Look, he's going to have to take a poop-a-doop in between, remember?
Why doesn't he just act like a president? That's a stupid way to say it.
You know, Donald Trump was asked on...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I probably best I don't.
You know, I feel kind of bad for Sleep Sofa. I mean, he looks like he's going to cry. He's like an old puppy dog whining for a bowl of milk. Look, Sleep Sofa, I'm sorry. You know, you have to act confidently if you're going to be president of the United States.
I tell you what, I'm so darn proud. And those poor people who have lost, anyway.
This is your brain on drugs. That's right. Any questions?
I would see to it immediately moving toward, we're in fact in a position now that if in fact we dealt with mitigation across the board, just what we did in the last administration and before, leading to a standard that we provide efficiency for appliances.
Have you ever seen that scene in Scanners? It kind of reminds me, I wonder if they're going to do, you know how they keep doing, we're doing Jaws over. You think they'll do Scanners over and maybe have Sleep Sofa Joe? in as like one of the lead characters. I would watch that, even though he makes me want to fall asleep.
I'm ready on day one after more than 3 years in office. Why isn't Donald Trump ready? Mr. President, wake up.
Can you believe that? Did he really just say for me to wake up? Is this Pinocchio and Geppetto is in the background pulling strings? Because it doesn't even look like he's alive. I feel so bad for this guy. I'm going to demolish him when we get into a debate. I mean, honestly, he doesn't even know who the hell he is. And you guys are going to vote for this guy? He's up by how many points? I mean, what the? He can't even speak, people. He said he's going to beat himself. Did you see that one? This is Sleep Sofa Joe saying how he's going to beat himself.
I'm prepared to say that I have a record of over 40 years and that I'm going to beat Joe Biden.
Well, let's hear that one more time. Joe, can you do that one more time for us?
I'm going to beat Joe Biden. Joe Biden. I'm going to beat Joe Biden.
Look, I think that's a good place for us to call it a day. He's going to beat himself. I guess I should just hang back and maybe let him fall on the sword. He may walk outside to get the mail and forget to put his pantalones on. Could be a problem. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow on the next Trump show. That's right. Have a good night.
I keep thinking he's going to fall asleep on camera. That may be the next video we see out there. It's not some sort of blubbering, because he's also blubbering Joe Biden. No, he's something's going to happen. He's going to be like in the middle of a conversation. He's going to be like, Vice President Biden? It's going to happen. I'm not doubting it. I'm just wondering when. But in the meantime, we have episode 5 of the Donald Trump Show to get to.
It's Hammerlin Jamison live from Mount Rushmore. Donald Trump for episode 5 of the Trump Show. Thank you. Thank you for joining me here at the monuments. Look, this is a very exciting time. I started my own talk show this week. That's right, the Donald J. Trump Show. We're winning big league. We're dropping lots of content about Sleep Sofa Joe Biden. Lots about Sleep Sofa. We also did one episode about Pelosi so far. And we're going to continue to drop positive content about Sleep Sofa Joe Biden. Because I will not let him beat me, no. We have done too much work here in this country. Are you guys ready to stick a fork in Biden? Are you ready? Watch this clip. Ready?
I'm Joe Biden's husband, Joe Biden.
I don't know what to say. I'm a little confused. What... Could you tell me, what does that mean, Joe? You're married? I'm Joe Biden's husband, Joe Biden. I don't know. So, are you going to be your own first lady? Or what does that mean, Joe? Could you please elaborate? I'm Melania Trump's husband, Donald Trump. I'm not really sure. So Joe's married to himself? Just going to give you the one for today. That's enough to squash the Sleep Sofa. Look, he's comfortable to lie on, just not to vote for. We don't have to trash the man while we're here at the National Monument. He's just a Sleep Sofa. Look, if you can't catch the Donald Trump Show, make sure you tune in to Real Talk. You see, my kids, Melania, they all love Real Talk. Well, we give it to people straight on the Real Talk program, and it kind of gave me the concept for the Donald Trump Show. So tune in. Every night I'll be on either my show or the Real Talk Show. I'm going to drop content for you because the fake news is not letting the Trumper breathe. That's right. It's trying to shut down the Trump. Look at that beautiful monument. They're going to put my face right next to George Washington there. Perfect spot. They're going to have my tie. It's going to go all the way down to the ground. So Democrats will hit their faces on it every time they walk by.
That may be one of my favorite lines. Trump's known for his really long ties. Some of them down almost his knee, right?
I'm going to have it so long. When the Democrats walk by, they're going to bang their faces right on my stone tie. That's right. In the back there, they have a loo. That's right, where Melania goes to take a poop. It's not a gold toilet like I have at home, but it works. It's a little old school, really. You're going to use rocks and some leaves as well. They don't have toilet paper. We're talking to Bezos about that, though. Perhaps we can get toilet paper.
But for now, we have episode 6 of The Donald Trump Show.
It's Hammerlin Jamison live from the studio. Donald J. Trump joins us from Washington, D.C.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining me on episode 6 of The Donald Trump Show. That's right, I'm here in Washington. Sometimes people think it looks like the Epcot Center. No, the Pope is not back in that building. It's Donald Trump's home. In the process of fixing the dome. I think it's about time we get back to Sleep Sofa Joe. Sometimes we call him Bumbling Biden. I'm not sure what I feel like calling him today. Let's see what Bumbling Biden has to say. I just love them both. I just love Sleep Sofa Joe. He's a bumbling Biden sleeping on the sofa. So, let's see what we've got today.
I propose, and I'm going to digress slightly. We're in a situation.
Every time I think to myself, well, there's no way it could get any worse, they show me another clip. This is Sleep Sofa Joe, bumbling Biden. Take a look, people.
Well, folks, eliminate one tax loophole out of $1.6 trillion worth. $1.4 trillion worth.
Well, which is it, Joe?
Out of $1.4 billion. It's hard to even say it, it's so much.
Really? Joe, you want me to get a calculator for you? Here, why don't you use this calculator, see what you come up with.
It's cost a lot of money. It cost about $740 billion over 10 years.
740 billion. Wow, Joe. That's a phenomenal amount of money. Do you want that in Monopoly dollars?
If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330 and help me in this fight.
Well, Joe, if it's a matter of dialing 30330 in order to help you fight the battle against Alzheimer's, I'm in. Okay, what else we got?
And they'd say to you, take my shotgun. I said, I have 3. I now have 5 because my son died and I have 3 of his. I have 5 shotguns.
Oh, so close, Joe. So close. 3 plus 3. So close. You did not form it as a question. It's also not 6.
I know I'm called middle class, Joe. It's not meant as a compliment. Means I'm not sophisticated.
I'm sorry, Sleep Sofa. I hadn't heard that one. Middle class Joe. I've heard creepy Joe. I've heard bumbling Biden. I've heard Sleep Sofa Joe, Sleepy Joe. I've heard about a terrible cup of Joe. It's more like out of gas Joe.
I've heard about a terrible cup of Joe.
Of course, we can't have Folgers, okay? I'm looking for, I'm talking like Nespresso quality, okay? I can't just have regular drip coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. You heard what Joe Biden said about Dunkin' Donuts earlier, just to recall. Recall, okay?
And let's move on to episode 7 of The Donald Trump Show.
Hammerlin Jamison live from the studio. Donald Trump joins us for the 7th episode of The Donald Trump Show.
Thank you very much for joining me on episode 7 of The Donald Trump Show. We're going to get right into it today. I've got a lot more on Sleep Sofa Joe. That's right, we're calling him Bumbling Biden as well now. So let's get into it. What do we got? First clip of the show.
You gotta, I mean, we gotta reassure. Look, here, my message to everybody I talk to is we're going to get through this.
Are you sure, Joe? It looks like you can't even get through a sentence.
We provide a Medicare option. That's exactly what Rap Rock and I talked about in the beginning.
I'm sorry, did he just call Barack Rap Rock? I didn't realize he had a pet name for Barack Obama. Hey, Rap Rock, let's get together and go and talk about that foreign policy. Hey, Rap Rock, you want to get together and play some basketball? Hey, Rap Rock, could you make me a PB&J? Absolutely hilarious.
I made a mistake. I said it 14 years ago. I trusted George Bush to keep his word. He said he was not going to go into Iraq.
This is when it gets really interesting. You ready?
Only way we're going to get rid of Saddam Hussein. And it's going to require guys like you in uniform to be back on foot in the desert taking taking Saddam down.
Wait, I'm sorry, but didn't you just say that you were against the war, Sleeps Over? I think he's losing his memory again.
From the moment shock and awe started, from that moment, I was opposed to the effort and I was outspoken.
Let's take a look at Outspoken Joe. Yes, maybe his news. Maybe we'll call him Outspoken Joe if it's good. Let's see.
Some of my own party have said that it was a mistake to go to Iraq in the first place. But the cost of not acting against Saddam, I think, would have been much greater. The President of the United States is a bold leader, and he is popular.
No, after that clip, that's it. We're going to call him Backtrack Biden. That's right. He backtracks. He said that he didn't support the war, that he's talking about George Bush like they're best friends. I'm not sure what's true with Sleeps Over Joe.
When I marched in the civil rights movement, I marched with tens of thousands of others to change attitudes. And we changed attitudes.
When I was about the age of the guy standing over there, I got involved in the civil rights movement.
And now, the truth.
I was not an activist. I was not out marching. I was not down in Selma. I was not anywhere else.
Okay, so basically, Sleeps Over Joe never did any actual protesting, although he's been campaigning on it for his entire career.
In the first year in law school, I decided I didn't want to be in law school and ended up in the bottom 2/3 of my class, and then decided I wanted to stay, went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class.
Look, I really want you to pay attention to the detail in this video right here.
I think I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect.
I'm pretty sure that your IQ is a moving number, Sleeps Over.
I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship.
So let's get to the truth.
Senator Joseph Biden may have more explaining to do.
The new questions stem from taped remarks of Biden during an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire.
And in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I won the International Moot Court competition. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only need 123 credits, and I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
If I can say one thing.
Look, the facts are Sleeps Over Joe was a terrible student.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class.
He didn't?
That he does not have 3 degrees from college.
He doesn't?
And that he was not named Outstanding Political Science Student in college.
Really?
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
I'm sorry. I can't stop laughing. Back then, I guess they didn't fact check you in real time. That must have been a couple weeks later. So funny.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed him.
Sleeps Over Joe makes up things. Bumbling Biden. Did you hear him bumble there? He's a bumbler. Bumbling Biden strikes again.
When you have so much content to work with, you start saying, well, what do I use? And there's a lot of stuff that goes on the cutting room floor when it comes to making a Donald Trump show for you guys. And I'm probably going to do an outtake or two on the final But for today, what we're going to do is go through the 10, and I may play you the prequel at the very end. Okay, so here we go. Episode 8 of The Donald Trump Show.
Live in the studio, it's Hammerlin, Jamison. We're back with another episode of The Donald Trump Show.
Thank you very much for joining me for episode 8 of The Donald Trump Show. That's right, we're cooking along here. Today we're here to talk about Joe Sleep Sofa, bumbling Biden. We've been kind of going through his exploits over the years. What has he done? Has he done anything at all? You know, one of the biggest problems we have today is young incarcerated individuals. How did that happen? How did we get to this point where we're talking about police reform? Well, let's roll the tape. How about that? Let's roll the tape.
It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society.
I'm starting to see a little of the bumbling Biden taking place. This is all the way back in like the 90s.
It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society.
Wait, bumbling Sleep Sofa. I thought that being the victim was your platform. Now all of a sudden it doesn't matter if they're the victims of society.
The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons.
Seems a bit odd that all of Joe's family's being attacked in the streets.
So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street.
And there you go. See? I told you that Joe was one of the parties responsible for the crime bill in the 90s. There you go.
Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes.
Hold on, I want to get this straight, Joe. So basically, 1994, I believe this is, you're talking about the same problems they're talking about now, but you had 3 more minutes to yield, by the way, and then 30 years since then, and you've done nothing to fix the problem.
Because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now.
Classic. Really? Sleep Sofa Joe is talking about fixing the problems, never fixed the problems. He had 8 years in office, and he's still trying to play the same game.
If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
Somebody get Chris Hansen on the line.
Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them.
Now you see
That's Hammerlin, Jamison, live from the studio. Donald Trump with episode
on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Before you blame Donald Trump, make sure you look at the Sleep Sofa.
But they are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our families.
It looks like the answer for Sleep Sofa Joe was to throw everybody in jail. Talk about divisive. Okay, I gotta get going. I'll see you tomorrow.
Look, it's Hammerlin here. I gotta quickly show you something. You saw the wrong episode 8. Ham Jam's gonna come back to rip the lid off of it very quickly, but you have to see this first. This is the proper episode 8 of the Donald Trump Show. Hold on, let me very quickly get this one through for you. One moment. There we go.
Live in the studio, it's Hammerlin, Jamison. We're back with another episode of the Donald Trump Show.
Thank you very much for joining me for episode 8 of the Donald Trump Show. That's right, we're cooking along here. Today we're here to talk about Joe Sleep Sofa, bumbling Biden. We've been kind of going through his exploits over the years. What has he done? Has he done anything at all? You know, one of the problems we have today is overpopulated prisons. That's right. And it all started with Joe Biden. I'm going to show you how we are where we are right now. Let's roll the tape.
It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth.
Look, he's talking about inner cities, black communities, minorities, and they all vote for him still. I don't get it. He doesn't want you to advance. He wants you to stay down, so you need the sleep sofa. You don't need a nap on the sleep sofa.
It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society.
I'm starting to see a little of the bumbling Biden taking place. This is all the way back in like the 90s.
It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society.
Wait, bumbling sleep sofa. I thought that being the victim was your platform. Now all of a sudden it doesn't matter if they're the victims of society.
The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe.
Ouch.
Shoot my sister.
Look out.
Beat up my wife.
Let's be honest, Sleep Sofa. That one's you when you open up the bottle of Irish whiskey. Seems a bit odd that all of Joe's family's being attacked in the streets.
They must be taken off the street.
The whole point of the bill was to keep people down, so they feel like they always need help. They don't teach people how to fish, they give them the fish.
Tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision.
When was this filmed? Yesterday?
Without any structure, without any conscience developing.
Definitely filmed in the last couple weeks. And he's talking about Antifa, right?
They literally have not been socialized.
Isn't he talking about Antifa?
They literally have not had an opportunity.
So let me get this straight. Instead of providing opportunities, you just decided to lock everybody up.
We should focus on them now.
Classic. Really? Sleep Sofa Joe is talking about fixing the problems, never fixed the problems. He had 8 years in office, and it's been almost 30 years, and they've done nothing since then.
If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now.
Predators? Is that like a follow-up to the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
I wonder if that's where Chris Hansen got his start.
Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them.
It sounds like only Biden's life matters.
And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Can't you see? Every 2 years he panders for a vote, and he's the guy who put them all in jail.
But they are in jail. Away from my mother.
Sleep Sofa, do I detect an Oedipal complex?
Your husband, our families.
Divide and conquer. It's the Democrat way. Sleep Sofa Joe Biden has been telling people one thing for years and doing the opposite. Just remember, and tune back in tomorrow on the next Donald Trump show. Have a good night.
It's Hammerlin, Jamison, and it's Hammer Time. That's right. Look, I'm here every single night on the Real Talk program to rip the lid off the fake news. That's right. It's Hammer Time. A little ham, jam, bam. Thank you, ma'am. That's right, people. Look, check me out every single night on Hammer Time. That's right. It's Hammerlin, Jamison. I'm here to drop a hammer and rip a lid off the fake news. And we're all the way through here to the 9th episode of the Donald Trump Show. Look, Ham Jam's here with a little Ham Jam thank you, ma'am. Okay, I've been live on the Real Talk program every day, opening up the Trump episodes for Senor Trump, and also dispelling some of the fake news that's going on in the real world. And it's kind of a conundrum there. Fake news in the real world. But it's a Ham Jam exclusive. I've got the most interesting of episodes to debut for you. This is episode 9 of the Donald Trump Show. It's called The Great Wall of Trump. That's right. And look, Hammer Jam's going to let you know something, okay? You're seeing a lot behind the curtain. This is what the Wizard of Oz doesn't want you to know about, but Hammer Jam's here to drop the hammer and the lid off of it. So you need to stay tuned, people. Remember, down below you can send your hot tips to Hammer Jam, and he's going to buy some whiskey with it. It's just what happens. Hammer Jam's here to get through the day. Okay, I got to get through it. When I get through it, you're bound to have a bottle sitting at the end of that day for the old Hammer Jam. So I can say, Ham Jam, thank you, ma'am. It's Hammer Time. So remember that. Look, remember, this is episode 9 of the Donald Trump Show. I'm going to see if I can find it here for you and play it proper. This is how it looks. Let's see. Episode 9 of the Donald Trump Show. It's called The Great Wall of Trump. I'm Hammerlin Jamison, and have yourself a great evening.
It's Hammerlin Jamison live from the studio. Donald Trump with episode 9 of the Donald
Or not. Let's just pretend. How about that? Let's just pretend. We're going to do that real quick. Let's see if I can put this one over here. It's going to do something sideways and weird real quick, people, but I'll fix it. Okay, it's Hammer Jam. Look, I'm on the board tonight. Okay?
It's Hammerlin Jamison live from the studio. Donald Trump with episode 9 of the Donald Trump.
Thank you very much for joining me.
Okay, hold on 1 second,
Episode 9
people.
of the Donald Trump Show.
This is
That's
great.
Right. We're going to get into it today. I've got a lot to share with you. Border wall. Everybody's always saying, Trump, when are you going to build the border wall? We're building the wall. But they gave me such a hard
All right, look,
time.
Hammerlin can't have it start that way. You got to see it from the top, full screen. No Hammer Jam mess-ups. I'm going to have to talk to the people on the back end. They shouldn't be doing that. They should be taking care of it for the old ham. I mean, look, I'm on seven figures of scotch at the moment. If you want the ham to do something effective, you're going to have to get him another bottle of Jamison. Look at the last name, Jamison. That's right. My great-granddaddy's uncle's sister's brother was the creator of Jamison. So whenever I could find myself a bottle, I drink it, and then I bash it over somebody's head just for good luck. Anyhow, look, it's Hammer Jam, episode 9 of the Donald Trump Show. Here we go. I'll see you on the next Hammer Time. Have a good night.
It's Hammerlin Jamison live from the studio. Donald Trump with episode 9 of the Donald Trump.
Thank you very much for joining me. Episode 9 of the Donald Trump Show. That's right. We're going to get into it today. I've got a lot to share with you. Border wall. Everybody's always saying, Trump, when are you going to build the border wall? We're building the wall. But they gave me such a hard time. Such a hard time.
The President of the United States, having failed to get Mexico to pay for his ineffective, unnecessary border wall.
We'll get back to Schumer and Pelosi after some other clips. I think you guys may like these others, and we'll put it all into perspective. It's Trump Show. I'm just going to show you how other presidents felt about immigration.
The bill before us will certainly do some good.
Well, let's start with that. He says he wants to do some good. Let's see what's next.
It will authorize some badly needed funding for better fences and better security along our borders.
Holy cow. Obama wanted to put up a fence. Nobody cares. I want to build a wall stronger. They have a problem with that. We're talking Three Little Pigs, people. He wants to use a fence. I'm talking about a wall that the big bad wolf can't blow down.
The fence is now basically complete.
Wow, Barack, you got 5 years out of that fence. Good job. We had to start building an actual wall because what you did was crap.
Maybe they'll need a moat.
Or maybe they'll need a wall.
Maybe they want alligators in the moat.
Now that one I have to give Barack. That was hilarious. Still, I'll take the wall.
Every place in this country are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country.
Bill Clinton says illegal aliens and everybody applauds and they get behind him. But Trump does and they call him a xenophobe and a racist.
The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers.
You see, they're always with you when they need the vote. But as soon as they get in office, they turn on you. Get used to it, people. It's the way it's always been with the Democrats.
That's why our administration has moved decisively to secure our borders more.
Can you believe that?
By deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before.
Maybe I should hire Bill to say his words / my words on the campaign trail.
I voted for a fence. I voted unlike most Democrats, and some of you won't like it. I voted for 700-mile fence.
Wait, Sleep Sofa Joe voted for a fence too?
Let me tell you something, folks. People are driving across that border with tons, hear me, tons of everything from byproducts from methamphetamine to cocaine to heroin.
And listening to Sleep Sofa talk about the same issues I have with illegal aliens is just kind of laughable.
It's all coming up through corrupt Mexico.
Joe Biden mentions the drugs. He mentions the illegal aliens coming across the border. And he wants 700 miles of fence. No problem. He's not a xenophobe. He's not a racist. You call Trump whatever you want. That's the problem. You guys just make up your fake news. What do we have next? Anything left?
Former presidents have said to him that they wish that they had built a wall. Do you recall President Obama ever saying that?
Come on. Bumbling Biden. At it again. Look, guys, you could tell it's a double talk situation with Biden. Everybody before me wanted a wall. Remember when Schumer said ineffective wall?
Construction of a 630-mile border fence create a significant barrier to illegal immigration on our southern land border.
So let me get this straight. In 2009, a fence is significant, but in 2020, a wall is ineffective? Really? Everybody before me wanted a wall. Trump gets it done.
It's Hammerlin, Jamison, and it's Hammer Time. That's right. Look, I'm here every single night on the Real Talk program to rip the lid off the fake news. That's right. It's Hammer Time. A little ham, jam, bam. Thank you, ma'am. That's right, people. Look, check me out every single night. Every single night on the Real Talk program. It's Hammerlin, Jamison, ripping the lid off the fake news. But not before we drop the hammer. Oh, what about that, people? Huh? I've been always told that Donald Trump is this big bad wolf who wants to build this wall. Oh my goodness, he's the first one ever to discuss separating the lines between the United States and Mexico. Everybody else just wants open borders. They all want open borders, guys. You can see it. It's just because they said it yesterday on CNN. Look, they said it last week on CNN that they want all the borders to be opened. Schumer came out and said that he wants to open up all the borders. Oh, did you see it? Where Hillary Clinton came out and said, let's open the borders to the world. Oh, you don't see that one? It's what's happening, people. Obama put up a new fence. Did you see that last 5 years? The fence lasted 5 years. If you saw a Donald Trump somewhere, it was something like, look, well, we're going to have to build a wall now because that fence is crap. Look, bottom line, the bottom line is that Hammer Jam's trying to drop a little truth on you, okay, and that the wall is something that every president has discussed, and as Trump says, Trump gets things done. This is what happens. But look, I'm just going to introduce the 10th and final episode of the Real Talk program, at least for the Donald Trump series. This one is called How Sour Is That Don Lemon?
Live in the studio, it's Hammerlin Jamison. We're back with another episode of How Sour Is That Don Lemon.
Thank you for joining.
Look, Hammer Jan, and we had a problem there. I'm going to go for the evening. I'm going to have to get my lashings. There's too many mistakes for the old Hammer. Maybe I should put the bottle down, at least for a few moments before I go on the air. I can drink as much as I want after the show. After I do my Hammer Time, I can take that Jamison down to the head. But prior to the program, I should probably take it back a little, people. Just a little. Okay, so tomorrow, there's a good chance that the old Hammer Jam is totally bone sober here for the program. And then afterwards, I'm throwing my face against the wall. Before I fall asleep, Hammer Jam, ripping the lid off. Look, at the end of the day, I appreciate you. And remember, this is the old Hammer Jam saying, you can't get anywhere unless you get the hell up and go. Let's see, it's episode 10 of the Donald Trump Show with, of course, the old Hammer Jam, thank you, Bamber, introduction.
Hammerlin Jamison live from the studio. Donald Trump is back with episode 10. How sour is that Don Lemon?
Thank you for joining me on episode 10 of the Donald Trump Show. That's right. Today, we're going to continue our journey, destroying fake news. Today, we're going to look at CNN. Don Lemon. That's right, we call him Con Lemonhead here, but I have an old clip that came across my desk I wanted to share with you guys. So give me your perspectives, okay? Take a look at this.
It got some, many on the political right, wondering why the so-called liberal media wasn't talking about other problems in the black community.
That's interesting, Lemon. Why? Why would you say? This is 2013, by the way.
The outrage that I have is in the lack of really the national attention to what is an epidemic of crime in the black community, committed largely by blacks.
These are the same stats we're talking about now, and everyone calls us racist for bringing up.
Why aren't we talking about it? Good question. Actually, that's not a good question. We've talked about it many times on this show.
You have?
And on CNN.
You see, he could tell he was lying because he took a longer breath.
So that's the reason I didn't want to discuss at length crime in the African-American community or how to fix other ills that seem to be plaguing the community in general. But now that the jury has reached its verdict, one that everyone must accept, it's time now for some tough love on the subject.
Some tough love from the lemon. Sounds good to me.
Someone on another network got the chance to go first because I couldn't go during the week. I'm only here on the weekend, so listen to this.
The reason there is so much violence and chaos is the disintegration of the African American family.
He's got a point.
He does?
In fact, he's got more than a point.
Wow. Don Lemon agrees with Bill O'Reilly. Who knew that was coming?
Drugs, hustling gangs. Nobody forces them to do that. Again, it is a personal decision.
He is right about that too. But in my estimation, he doesn't go far enough.
Oh, Don Lemon's a mathematician now. Yes, I'd like to hear your estimation.
Black people, if you really want to fix the problem, here's just 5 things that you should think about doing.
Here we go. Con Lemonhead, 2013, 5 ways to fix the black community. Let's hear it.
Here's number 5. Pull up your pants.
Pants on the ground. Pants on the ground. Looking like a fool with your pants on the ground.
Number 4 now is the N-word.
Oh my. Here we go.
I understand poetic license, but consider this. I hosted a special on the N-word, suggesting that black people stop using it, and that entertainers stop deluding yourselves or themselves and others that you're somehow taking the word back.
I am curious what people think of that comment.
A lot of African Americans took offense to that too.
Oh, he answered it.
Now number 3. Respect where you live.
Is this a special message to the people in Chippy, Chaz? What are they calling themselves this week? I think it's a message to Chap.
Start small by not dropping trash, littering in your own communities.
Imagine if they played this over the loudspeakers in Chap.
I've lived in several predominantly white neighborhoods in my life. I rarely, if ever, witness people littering.
Here comes a cheap shot at his community.
I live in Harlem now. It's an historically black neighborhood. Every single day I see adults and children dropping their trash on the ground when a garbage can is just feet away.
Wow, stereotype much?
Just being honest here.
Interesting. When did you decide to get rid of the honesty policy, LeMan?
Number 2, finish school. You want to break the cycle of poverty? Stop telling kids are acting white because they go to school or they speak proper English.
What Don Lemon is saying right now would be money.
A high school dropout makes on average $19,000 a year.
Wait, a year?
A high school graduate makes $28,000 a year.
Just graduating, you make 33% more per year.
A college graduate makes $51,000 a year.
That stat is less impressive to me. It costs like $50,000 a year for college. A college graduate makes $51,000?
Over the course of a career, a college grad will make nearly $1 million more than a high school graduate. That's a lot of money.
Yes, $1 million is a lot of money. It's a lot of money to the people of the United States of America. Not so much for Trump. I've got billions, okay?
And number 1, and probably the most important, just because you can have a baby, it doesn't mean you should.
Words you will never hear Don Lemonhead speak again.
Especially without planning for one or getting married first. More than 72% of children in the African American community are born out of wedlock. That means absent fathers.
Look, can't you see, this is the point. Nothing ever changes. It's always the same. It was 72% in 2013 when Obama was the president.
And the studies show that lack of a male role model is an express train right to prison. And the cycle continues.
Yesterday you saw that Sleep Sofa Joe was the one that put them in prison. And Don Lemon remarked how it's a problem in 2013 when Obama was in office. So what's the problem when Trump wants to fix it? Anybody? Bueller?
Pay attention to and think about what has been presented in recent history as acceptable behavior.
Is rioting in the streets acceptable behavior? It's a good question, Don Lemonhead. What do you think we should do, Don?
Pay close attention to the hip-hop and rap culture that many of you embrace.
I embrace the Sugar Hill Gang. To the hip-hop, to hip-hop, to top, to don't stop. The boogie, bang, bang, boogity, bug.
A culture that glorifies everything I just mentioned. Thug and reprehensible behavior. A culture that is making a lot of people rich. Just not you.
The time CNN spoke the truth. Wow, it's almost surreal, right? It's surreal to see CNN speaking truth. I kind of like it. How do we get them to speak the truth always? So what happened to Don Lemon in 2020?
This is the thing, Don. You know, black people need to hold other black people accountable.
Okay, before we get started, that's what Don Lemonhead was doing in the 2013 clip we started with. Okay, watch.
I said this the same thing. This is the Black America's version of the Me Too movement. If anything is going to change, we ourselves need to look at our own communities and look at each other and say, this thing cannot go down.
I'm sorry, isn't that exactly what Don said?
And this is what I'm saying. It's about who is controlling the narrative. It's got to be all Black Lives Matter.
That sounds right. What does Don have to say?
Here's what I have to say.
All right, Spin Doctor. Let's see what you got here.
The Black Lives Matter movement was started because it was talking about police brutality. If you want an all Black Lives Matter movement that talks about gun violence in communities, including, black communities, then start that movement with that name. But that's not what Black Lives Matter is about.
I'm soured by the hypocrisy. It's like eating a lemon. Oh.
So if you're talking about, if someone started a movement that said, cancer matters, and then someone comes in and said, why aren't you talking about HIV? It's not the same thing. We're talking about cancer.
I think Lemonhead doesn't grasp the concept of apples and oranges. If it's 100 people and you're there for all cancer matters, then it would be somebody who stands up and said, I have prostate cancer. And they would say, sit down, buddy. We just said all cancer matters.
So the Black Lives Matter movement is about police brutality and injustice in that manner, not about what's happening in black neighborhoods. There are people who are working on that issue, and if you want to start that issue, why don't you start it?
We have a hypocrite warning.
It is about police brutality. That should never be accepted. Yeah. I am not saying that that's not it, but there's more there. Okay. And when I look at, if they have more on their agenda, we need to ask them about what else is on that agenda.
Right. Don't you just love how uncomfortable Terry Crews made Don Lemonhead? It was hilarious. You could see he got very uncomfortable when he realized he couldn't control Terry Crews. I wonder, could we get Terry Crews on the Trump team? We should look into it. Look, I will see you tomorrow on the next Trump show. Have a good night.
So there you have it. The first 10 episodes of the Donald Trump show brought us to exactly 1 hour. Now, here's the thing. If I take out the mess up from episode 8 and I played you the final or the prequel episode, we'd be right at an hour, which is great. But I kind of like how you saw how my mind works, where I'll create one for the show that's live the night before, and then after the show, I'll see where I kind of want to revise. Episode 8 was a good example of that. The one you saw first was what I did for the show the night before, and then I just revamp, and I spent some time going through. You see very little from the original, and it's a lot of new stuff when I finally drop it the next day. But I like to prepare something for every show, and it's a lot of fun to create a face swap and then to revise it afterwards and see something that you could have done and just do it. So later on, people see the final product. But I learn from my mistakes. I think life is about learning from your mistakes. So I am going to show you very quickly, before we call this a night, I do want to keep this very brief and show you the Trump episodes, and that's it. I want to show you very quickly how this all began. I first made this episode I'm about to play for you. It's called Trump Ripping on Biden, I believe. And it's where my wheels started turning. I started imagining, you'll see, just see where I went with this. And then it got me thinking, geez, well, why don't I just create a Trump show? Here we go.
Hammerlin, Jamison, live from the studio. Donald J. Trump takes Joe Biden down a notch.
Look, I've got to tell you, I'm completely in awe. It's like the Twilight Zone we're living in right now. Do you see the sleep sofa? I mean, everything he does, I'm just totally blown away by. Did you see this clip? Check this one out. This will blow your mind.
And by the way, I sit on the stand, and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Exactly. I mean, Sleep Sofa Joe talking about his white hair on his legs is kind of weird, right? But no, people love him for it. And how about this one?
The rapidly rising I don't know.
I don't even understand how people could continue to support Joe Biden. He's halfway through the first sentence and he forgets what he's talking about. He's like, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just kind of sitting here. Look, we're going to be in trouble if you have Sleep Sofa Joe in as president. Let's check out this final clip.
Unnecessarily, now we have over 120 million dead from COVID.
Can you believe this? Can you believe Sleep Sofa Joe? 120 million? Really, Sleep Sofa? That's probably how many people would have died if Hillary Clinton had won, or if Sleep Sofa Joe was in charge of the country. It's 120,000, which is 120,000 too many. You could thank the G-hole. That's right, President G-hole. It's all his fault. And we're going to get him to pay. Big league. I'm going to send him a bill. And with it will be a huge stamp right across the center that says, "You're a G-hole."
So there we are. Expect a lot more from the Trump Show, but you are now seeing the official first episode of the Donald Trump Show. And I'll be making one of these hopefully a week where I can create, hopefully maybe every 2 weeks, where I have enough to create a full hour worth of clips and to make a full show for you. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back tomorrow. Have a very special show planned, so make sure you check that out. And thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into the show. Hammerlin Jamison's on every single day on the show. Don't forget that either. The Donald Trump Show is sponsored by the Mark Pires Real Talk program. Live every single day since 12/31/18. See you tomorrow. It's Mark Pires.
Of the passing cars driving next to me. Look how the open road affects us all.
Follow and like, please.